All right, welcome to a special episode of Talking Ball with Pat Leonard. We have none other than Giants captain and starting safety Julian Love joining the program. Julian, so glad to have you here. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Pat.
You got it. So, before I talk about football here, I got to ask you. I see you in the locker room this week, beating Saquon Barkley. I think twice was it in ping pong. Is that a head to head that you have dominated? And are you at the top of the rankings in the team ping pong rankings here?
No, I'm not at the top. There's definitely a hierarchy. There's probably like Darius Slayton and David Sills are probably the top two right now in the locker room. But I compete. I'm in that kind of that second tier, and I was talking a little trash to Saquon as he was playing some other guys, earlier in the week, and so he took that as a challenge, and so we played numerous games, not just two. We played a lot of games, and he had my number early on, but now that I'm back in the flow, shaked off the rust. Yeah, I got him. I got him on the ropes.
Nice. Does Slayton being lefty have anything to do with him being atop the rankings?
That's part of it. You got to know how to play a lefty, and he has a really good forehand. And anything you just lob up to him, just to get on the table, he's swatting it back at you. And so he's tough. Sills is a little tougher. I could play with Slayton though, but Sills his serve is his killer. If you get past his serve, then you can play ball with him.
Interesting. I love how you have the scouting reports on all these guys. It's
Yeah,
great.
we play him so much.
Well, I've seen you obviously excelling in the locker room, but then on the field, you're having a great season as well. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but at the moment, you are in the top 10 of Pro Bowl voting for strong safeties across the entire league. No surprise based on the year you're having, but what does that mean to you? Obviously, the voting's still ongoing, but what does it mean to you that you're having the kind of season and then you're getting the kind of fan love that puts you in in those rankings there?
Yeah, that's it means a lot. I mean, to have fan support. I'm not a guy that I would say has the most clout out there, has the biggest following. I've have been producing. I thought at a high level this. I think at a high level this season, and so it's good to see that. And I know the fan vote ends in a couple of weeks, and so I know all my people, my community, and all that stuff are going to be pushing full force to try to just get some votes for me to make me have a shot.
Julian leads the team, for those who don't know, in tackles with 83. The next closest player on the defense has 51. Also leads the team with 2 interceptions. And Julian, I got to ask you, going back to Nazareth Academy, obviously you were a force on the offensive side of the ball too. And I feel like both times you've picked off the ball this season against the Ravens and the Cowboys, you looked like a running back. Like you looked like you were trying to score. Do you flip right back into that mindset of, I can still do this and I want to show everybody I can?
Yeah, it's been a minute since I had some return opportunities. I was, like you said, I was well accomplished in high school for on the offensive side of the ball. Initially, I was recruited to college for offense, but then it switched to defense. And yeah, I made some moves against the Ravens when I caught the pick, and everybody was laughing because I made some nice moves. And I was like, "Yeah, guys, I was all state at running back. Come on now, like twice." Um, and so yeah, I have a little juice to me, and it's exciting. But yeah, I'm definitely meant for the defensive side of the ball.
And so, why do you think you've put it all together this season? And how how are you playing at such a high level so consistently? Does the scheme have something to do with it? Does experience have something to do with it? Do you and Wink Martindale see things the same? How has it come all together for you in 2022?
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I feel like, and I've been saying this all year. I don't feel like I'm playing better. Really, I feel like I'm just playing more. I feel like I was just unfortunately given a role where I was only able to show a sample size of my abilities these past few years, and it's been tough. And I just try to stay resilient. But when you put me out there, I've been consistent these past 4 years. Like there hasn't been a question if I'm like when I'm out there, I'm not playing good ball, and so that's
Mhm.
like the tough part that you know I would get frustrated with at times, and just learn like my time's coming, whatever. But just being out there, kind of doing what I'm doing, I just have a confidence right now that I know I'm a good player. I've always known I'm a good player, and yeah, it's showing. And just like you said, it's consistent. It's not I don't flash, I don't talk a lot. Um, I just get my work done.
Did earning a captaincy and you said at the time, how proud you were of it. But did earning a captaincy through your work in the offseason with the new coaching staff, did that, instill even more confidence in you? Not that you needed more confidence as a player, but just in the fact that they were going to give you all those opportunities and that they were going to let you be that leader and be the guy that you knew you could.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. Getting the captain spot, I think it's a huge honor. I think you never want to be like I should be a captain or whatever, but you know, of all the guys in the locker room, I would say I'm the most level-headed. I guess you could say I'm pretty fair when it comes to seeing views. One to communicate. I'm pretty intentional about how I do things, and so from a people's perspective, I think it makes sense why people saw me as that. And then simply as a playing perspective, I've started at every defensive back position in the league, and I have played on every team. I just have the experience of doing it all, and so when I don't have to go outside myself to help young guys or help people out with things. I just really reflect on my experiences, and so me just doing that in the off season kind of painted a picture in people's minds of me being that leader. Just because I'm just trying to help guys out the way I learned the game. And then yeah, like with Wink coming in, I think is a huge credit to kind of my confidence because he was able to see past kind of my demeanor off the field.
Mm.
Well, really, we never talked, and he just kind of analyzed all of us based off our tape, and my tape hasn't lied. I think that's something that you can. It's quick to overlook because of how I am as a person, but he believed in my tape, and so he believed in my game, and having somebody just believe in my game is all I needed. And so when the question is if you're going to bring another safety in, what are we going to do since Logan left, Jabril left, and like we have Zay, like what's going to happen? I was chomping at the bits, knowing that come on, just give me an opportunity, give me a shot to really show what I have.
No, that's a really fascinating way of explaining, where your perspective would have been as a player and how you really grabbed a hold, like you said, of an opportunity that might not have been there if you didn't take it, right? And so that's a credit to you for sure. So as being a captain and being a captain on a winning team with a chance to make the playoffs now, how do you handle these weeks? Because we're talking at the start of December, and you guys have positioned yourselves in a place where you could make the playoffs for the first time a Giants team has since 2016. So, because you have the C on your chest, how do you handle this moment and these weeks and these, must win games, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I think since the start of the season, it's you have that see you represent something bigger than yourself. You gotta lead not only with who you are and off the field, kind of getting guys motivated, fired up, typical captain leader stuff. But really, the reality is, if you have a C on your chest, you got to play the best. That's just kind of how I've seen it all year. There's if your captains and your leaders aren't playing well, then you don't have a shot. And so that's kind of my take on it all year. And as we get down to crunch time with a lot of guys banged up, a lot of guys kind of coming back, and this roster kind of in flux in terms of just people up and down.
Mhm.
It's crucial. And I talked about it today with our captains, like that we not only show who we are on the field and like motivate, play well, that stuff, but we got to bring some energy and juice. Like we got a lot of guys who might be their first time out there that are looking to us not just for how we're playing, but how our demeanor is. When the bad plays happen, when the good plays happen, there's no getting down. It's only positive. It's only motivation. It's only being a competitor, and that's kind of as this stretch goes down, to the wire, these last 6 weeks, that's what it is. That's kind of my mindset is we got to be resilient. It's going to be highs and lows. These teams are going to make plays, but we're gonna fight our ass off because we have been all year.
When you have a C on the chest, you have to play the best. I couldn't say it better myself. And if you didn't have enough on your plate already, mid-season, Xavier McKinney goes down, and now you are also the guy wearing the green dot, making the play calls on the field. Could you describe to me how different or not that is for you? Does because I haven't seen your play change at all. I think from my vantage point, just knowing, having played sports at a much lower level, it's like the more that's in your head, sometimes it might slow you down a little bit because you're thinking. but it
Mhm.
doesn't seem like that has done that to you.
Yeah, it's honestly it's tough. I'm not gonna say it hasn't been tough, but because me and Zay had a really good communication down with the entire defense, he would obviously get the calls and say that stuff, and I would kind of say everything else. And so,
Hmm.
like, we just had a really good thing going, and we will continue to when he gets back. It's just like I know all the guys, and so I know how to communicate to the guys. I know what to say to Zay. He knows what to say to me, and so like that is the toughest part that has been missed. Just our just in our
Kind of the
synchronization.
back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, the communication between us. And so with me getting the calls, it's a little more communication because I gotta say the calls, and also I gotta let guys know, some of the reads, some of the checks, what the offense is showing, just like a lot of things like that. And so really, it is a lot. And so I just try to say what I have to say, but I don't. Whenever the play starts, whenever the ball is hiked, I just play my game. I just play my brand of football. I in the past have made mistakes of like obviously like college and before that in high school. I'd make mistakes of thinking that like when things get heightened, I have to be do more. Um, and I haven't taken that approach since Zay's been out. I just got to continue to play my brand of football because that's what this team needs. It's just somebody who runs to the ball, tackles well, makes plays when they arise, is always around the football. And just keep that to my game, and then let everybody else kind of feed off of that.
As you described yourself, level headed. That is a very level headed approach. And, no secret now that the Giants value you. And obviously, we know that your representatives and the Giants discussed during the bye week a potential contract extension. I know you want to table that until after the season, but I just wanted to ask you, you where did you guys leave it? Do you feel like you left it in a good place? And do you ultimately want to stay a Giant and remain a Giant for the long term coming out of those conversations?
Yeah, I mean, all else being equal, I would love to say a Giant. I really appreciate this community, the fan base, the people in the building. It's fun. I really love it here. Me and my wife love it here. It's become like I never saw myself as a East Coast kind of Jersey, New York guy. I was a Midwest kid, and we now you know love it out here maybe a little more than we do back home in Chicago. And so it's special. It's a special place and a special organization. I just believe, and I believe what Shane and Dable are doing. But at the same time, you know, I can't I can't sacrifice kind of what I think my value is, and so that's the challenge of it's funny because I've been in this situation before in terms of leaving Notre Dame. Um, I love, I love that school. I love my friends that were there. It was perfect. Everything was meshing. Everything was vibing. And then the best situation came up for me to declare for the draft, and I had to do it. It broke my heart, but I had to do it. And so it's like you got to kind of have this wariness with as we go into this contract. And yeah, we have been talking. As the season been going, I just got to play ball, but after the season, that's the conversation that will be had. And so, what I can do for myself is just continue to play well, show my value, and then really it's up to the Giants on that point because they know where I stand in loving this organization.
It's great to hear. And one of the things that makes it easy about loving the East Coast in the NFL, especially, is the NFC East.
Hmm.
And of course, chock full of NFC East games that are meaningful down the stretch for you. What I wanted to ask you was, now you've been here, this is your fourth year in the NFL and in this division. I'm curious, how do you view the different opponents? Like which team do you hate the most? Which rivalry is the most heated? Commanders, Cowboys, Eagles. I'm sure they bring their own elements of, each of these rivalries. I was just curious from the inside, you know, which team do the Giants hate the most when you get out on the field? Which one do you want to beat the most? And, which games are, I guess, the most emotional?
Yeah, I would say since I've been here, it's been kind of a changing of the guard almost. Because in these past 2-ish years, 2 to 3 years, everybody has had a new head coach. And so it's like everybody's kind of vibe and mentality and play style has changed in the division. When you look at
Hmm.
Ron Rivera, McCarthy, who am I forgetting? Buddy out of Philly, Sirianni?
Sirianni.
Sirianni, yeah. And so it's like it's always evolving. And I would say in the hierarchy of things, I just maybe it's a little chip on my shoulder because my dad grew up a Cowboys fan, like just like most of America really. Uh,
Yeah.
the Cowboys I really dislike. Those guys like those are you gotta I gotta calm myself down before I play them because I'm really kind of fired up to play them. And so I got to get to my optimal zone. And so them, but the Eagles aren't too far behind. They're if you ask me every other day, it's probably will switch off between just liking them the most and then yeah, I think the Commanders have just a roster that is going to be a fight with every time. And so maybe my hate for them grew over the years as well. And so yeah, I mean, I don't you know it's never a situation where you're dapping up, giving hugs after a game. It's kind of like all right, like like I'm done. I'm going off the field type of
You know
situation.
what it is about the Cowboys? They talk.
They
They
talk,
talk a
have
lot.
this confidence about them, the star, all that crap. And so yeah, it's just I don't like any of it, and I get really like emotional, fired up, getting ready to play them just because I'm the most opposite from thinking with how they think over there.
I love it. Um, Switching gears to something that is has been in the news a lot lately, connected to you guys and some of the teams we're talking about now. Odell Beckham Jr.
Hmm.
He's been in town to visit the Giants and visit New York, the Bills, the Cowboys, or some other teams he's talking to. What is your opinion on how big it would be to get a player like him back on this team and in this franchise? And how much of a role can a captain like you play in trying to make that happen?
Yeah, you won't see too much of my involvement in trying to make that happen. Just one, I don't know him. I know he's a good player and all that stuff, but that's Saquon and Chef's guys who've been here a little bit before me. But yeah, I think obviously the community will love it. I don't know. I'm pretty just much in the middle on it. I can see the pros and cons to it. He's obviously a good player, but you know, I feel like everyone looks at certain things with what's the word like heart glasses on, and so
Hmm.
you remember the
Like
good
rose colored glasses. Yeah.
rose colored glasses, yeah. You remember the good, and you can forget. I just don't want anything who we bring in to be a distraction ever, and that's something that is I think needs to be considered with this. I think it'd be great if we can get him on the team and healthy and balling for us, because we were light right now in the receiver room. But at the same time, we got to look at it from all sides and see like is it a fit? Because it might have been a fit 4 years ago whenever he was here last. We'll see. It's a whole new roster, a whole new team right now.
So that speaks interestingly to how much you love and kind of cherish the current internal dynamic of the players and how you guys get along and how you're operating. What would you, if you could pinpoint one or two qualities of the dynamic you're saying that's, delicate, we don't want to shake that up. What would be the qualities of the dynamic you guys have built together?
Yeah, I think that we really, I mean, we play for each other, and we don't have anybody who thinks they're there's no I thinkers. Like everybody obviously has their personal goals and things they want to accomplish individually, but they keep it within the team goals. I think that's been the message all year that has been good. It's like yeah, everybody's gonna like yeah, the Pro Bowl stuff's coming out, the all the other awards, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but even like with Saquon like having a great year, like the rushing record or rushing title or whatever it is, like it's all about we got to win these games. Like that's the message, that's the theme, and so I think that's whoever we bring in has to keep that within itself because I think of it that way. Like some guys might think about like if I am balling and doing my thing, then like the ones will come. I think if you focus on winning games, then you rise up to a level that you will get all the accolades. And the winning teams get the most notice. The winning teams, you see their players always pick to other teams getting paid a lot of money. And so, like, if you're searching for money, easiest thing for me is to say to win. Um,
Hmm.
if you're, you know, on the fence or whatever, you want your career to last longer. Winning games is the key, and so that's I think the main fundamental thing with this team that I really appreciate, and that can't change in the future with anybody.
That's a great point. And a couple more, and I'll get you out of here. I know you're a busy man. So, one is a football question. You guys were winning games in early in the season because of your defense.
Hmm.
Recently, obviously, there's been some injuries, but I wanted to ask you specifically about the run D. What do
Hmm.
you think about the run defense needs to improve down the stretch for you guys? Because that was not something earlier in the year that you guys had an issue with. And like I said, your ability on third downs and red zones to get off the field and to prevent touchdowns and turn them into field goals. I mean, it's the reason you guys are where you are now. So, what in the run game can the collective defense improve down the stretch of this to help you guys secure a playoff berth?
Yeah, I think we have some good players. I think it really is a question of like not a question of it's a matter of um, just one play. Like I feel like in a few of these games that you see the rush numbers really what they are. It's really one or two plays that break, and
Mm,
that's kind of the story of good run defenses. You got to be relentless and resilient, and it doesn't help that we have had a lot of fluctuation and guys being hurt and back and all that stuff. But that's any team, so we can't you kind of rely on that. Um, and it's really I feel like we played some good offenses recently, and so that's kind of that's a tough situation. And
hmm
for us to commit to this run, it has to be everybody. It can't just be the inside linebacker play. It can't just be big guys in the middle. We got to kind of really be aggressive and strike these dudes because that's talking about fundamental football. That's something that every coordinator or whatever would try to hang their hat on is their run D. And so yeah, I think we've been really trying to address it and really work it and work on our craft in terms of stopping the run. Um, but that's going to just take the whole 11 committed to really stopping it.
did doing a padded practice like Dable had you guys do at the beginning of the first Washington week, did that send a message, or does doing that help you guys work on the elements and the techniques and fundamentals you're talking about?
Yeah, you get away from it the further you are away from camp. The real contact is only in the game. But yeah, I think it sends a message though. I think it sends a message like, all right, we gotta get this thing going and get this thing stopped. On both sides of the ball. Um, and so yeah, it sent a message, but also it allowed us to a day to craft and really get after it, which I thought we took advantage of.
That's great. Last question. As a fellow Notre Dame graduate to one Notre Dame graduate to another, I have to get your opinion on what you think of the new head coach Marcus Freeman, and what you think of the 8-4 Irish's season and where the program is headed.
Yeah, I think I had a chance to talk to Freeman when he became the D coordinator, and I just really appreciated kind of his transparency, kind of his energy, his style. I thought he was an easy guy to talk to, and that had me excited for everything that was coming because of him. Then he quickly got thrust into a head coach job, and I'm sure his world has been crazy as I've been hearing, he's done a great job of being personable, but also like you got to get so much done when you're a head college football coach in today's climate. You got to be on the
Mhm.
phone with recruits all the time. You got to kind of be nurturing like your guys who aren't playing because the transfer portal is very alive and well. And so it's like you got to be balancing all these things and wear so many different hats that you got to be a different breed. And so I have a really appreciation for him because through all of that stuff, the tornado of being a head coach in college football, he has remained personable and he's connected with his players, connected with the staff. You know, that's different. And when I go back, that's what people keep telling me. Like they know I love him because of how he is with people. And so that's special. Then 8-4, I thought it was a good year. I mean, for a team that has had so many recent draft picks and recent success, 8-4 early on, you never knew it was going to happen because of the early losses to Marshall and the mid-season loss to Stanford. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
what's going to happen with this team? But they made a bowl game. They got 8 wins. Have a chance to win 9. Um, and it's promising because now you got some young guys who have been playing. You got some young, like Ben Morrison, little corner number 20, freshman. Like you see some freshmen stepping up, sophomore stepping up, and so things are going to look up. And he also the good thing about having Freeman is he is personable. Like I said, he's good with people. So
Mm.
these high school kids are committing to him because they can see the relationship there. They can see how he'd be good for their growth. And so right now we have the whatever ranked class in 2023 coming in, the whatever ranked class of 2024 as of now. And so things are looking up for sure.
I saw you on the field on the NBC broadcast during the bye week. Are
Oh,
you coming for my job next?
yeah. Yeah, that was a cool thing they had me do. I don't know. We'll see if that's down the line for me. It might be. That's something that I've been getting some opportunity to explore lately.
Oh, well done. And guys, my cause, my cleats campaign coming up.
Hmm.
You can go online, go to Julian's Twitter account. Actually, the link is right there, and you can bid on an autographed pair of customized cleats of Julian's. He's having a great year. The Giants are on the rise, the Irish are on the rise. Julian, thanks so much for taking the time, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me, man.